All right, I'd like to welcome everybody out to the Edge Mastermind call today. My name is Courtney Moses, and I will be facilitating the call today. So I'm coming up on almost 6 years of doing doTERRA, and there are some things that I've seen over and over. And one of those things that I've noticed is that with people who get stuck at a rank for a longer period of time usually have not created enough momentum to propel them forward. All right, so just for example, let's just say you're elite or premier, and you've been at that rank for maybe a year or longer, then maybe in the beginning of your journey you created momentum, but now that's lost, right? And it's going to be the same for higher ranks. If you're sitting at silver, gold, platinum, diamond, I mean, any rank that you're sitting at, you've experienced momentum, right? But you're probably not experiencing that now, which is why you don't have a rank advancement. And so then we sit here and look at, well, what is this momentum then, right? And most likely during this time when you were experiencing that growth or that momentum, maybe your focus or your activities, maybe your pace, it could be your passion, your drive, your clarity. I mean, it could be a million different things that's going on, but it's going to be unlike any other times in your journey that you've experienced that. And when you combine those together, then you create this momentum that really propels you forward. And so today on the call, I really want to get to the bottom of this and talk about those times that we've experienced momentum and what, we did, what created that, and what we can do now today to create another wave of momentum. So my first question to the mastermind is, when in your doTERRA journey did you feel or see a massive growth or momentum in your organization? So just think about that. Think back of when, maybe there were things happening, maybe enrollments or overall volume, builders being committed. When was there, an extreme amount of growth happening in your organization? So you can hit *5* to raise your hand for those of you that are muted. And we'll get you unmuted. All right, so when was the time you experienced momentum in your organization?
Hey, Courtney.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting because right now there's still, there is a lot of growth happening on my team. Because, there's hundreds and in some cases, I can't say thousands, but hundreds of people that join my team every month. And and I don't know exactly, but there's a difference though, right? Because sometimes I'm not describing, because I think what you're describing is when I felt the momentum.
Right.
And
you feel it.
Yes. And I think you perceive it when it's in the areas you're working your business. And so, for example, so when I first started, I remember a moment of momentum was when I started, I was bringing people to classes a lot, right, or even teaching classes. And every single enrollment that was happening on my team was happening because I was making it happen. I was teaching the class, I was enrolling the person, and those types of things. And then there was the moment when people were signing up without me being there. And I remember looking at my back office and going, where did that person come from? I didn't enroll that person, And it was, and then it kind of got to the point to where your team was experiencing. I remember when it was like, wow, we're almost getting to one enrollment a day, And it was just this awesome feeling of, man, people are joining our team every day. and man, what an awesome time. I miss those days. I know it's stupid, but I totally miss it. And then when you had an area, like for example, Idaho and Washington were the two areas of my business where I felt momentum happening. And it was when there was leadership happening, like when you emerged, when David and Julianne emerged, when Janet and Bernie emerged, and all these leaders were emerging, like Jacqueline Child in Washington, and Travis and Sarah Palmer, and all these people. And what was happening is you felt people, you felt them like you weren't you weren't building your business anymore. You were helping them build their business. They were taking ownership of their teams, and they had their dreams and their reasons for doing doTERRA and their passion behind it. And that's when momentum was going crazy, because at first it was my dream, my business, my reasons for doing this. And that found people and that built a team. But then when it started to become your dream and your business and your passion for it, that's when momentum started hitting, because it wasn't just like in the beginning, it's just your time, right? Like, so if you're putting in 20 hours a week, then it's your 20 hours, and everything that was happening in your business was happening because of the 20 to 40 hours that you were putting in. But then when you were putting in your 20, and when Jacqueline was putting in her 20, now 60 hours a week are happening. And then when, Adam and Rosie, when they put in their 20, now 80 hours a week, and so on and so forth. And then what happens is that, you could only put in, the amount of time that was being invested into the business was more than you could physically ever put in. And that's when you start getting that momentum happening, right? And you start hitting rank. And here's another thing. And then when you start hitting the smaller ranks, like elite, everybody on your team kind of celebrated that rank. And then when you were hitting premier, and silver was the first rank, when you'd hit silver, it seemed like it instilled belief in everybody else on the team. And so then they started hitting silver. And then when people started hitting rank, that caused an even like a frenzy, right? because everyone around you was going, wait, they just hit rank? And when they hit rank, well, then I can hit rank. And the belief started, and so like momentum is when belief starts in your head, and you can, that belief, it grows. It starts with you, and then the belief goes into other people and other people and other people. And everything that causes belief is what causes momentum. And so, activity causes momentum. Teaching classes, enrollment, and a big one, rank advancement. When you start seeing people hit rank, when Rod hit diamond, we're all like, whoa, Rod hit diamond. I can hit diamond. And it just, and all of those different things, that those pivotal moments when someone would hit a rank, everyone else started believing they could hit a rank. When Kim and Todd Allen went like gold in, 2 or 3 or 4 months or whatever it was like, oh my gosh, someone went gold in like a couple months. And it caused belief to spread. And by the way, the opposite of this is true, as well. If you want to kill momentum, kill belief. And that's why, like, again, hitting rank is so important, because when you hit rank, it causes belief in other people, and that spurs on activity and momentum. When you sit at your rank for a long time, it actually is demoralizing to people, and whether or not, like, for example, I know that me not being presidential diamond right now is hurting my organization. I need to hit presidential, and that's why I'm fully engaged in doing that, because I know my team needs to see that, because when I do, it'll cause momentum, and then it'll cause even more and more growth. And so this is on all of us, wherever we are in the business, whether or not, like, you have to hit the next rank. You have to. If you want to go, and I'm sorry, I'm talking too much, but like a lot of times people will say, well, if my team would do something, then I'd hit my rank. And it's like, well, if your team isn't doing something, then go get a new team and hit the rank, and then your existing team will do something. And yeah. I mean, it's just anyway. So all of those things kind of build momentum.
So for those that, hold on for a second, Seth. For those of us that are just joining us, we're talking about momentum and when we felt that in our organization and trying to identify like what's created that. And, you brought up some really good points, Seth, and I recently have experienced, some of this again. When you talk about rank advancement, for example, I recently had a team that it was 2 years and 4 months to go silver in Texas, and Tanya went silver last month. And what's really interesting is exactly what you're describing happened. we got going, got working with some people, and people were getting stuck at ranks, like, manager, executive, these lower ranks, right? And then that belief started going, you know what, maybe this really is impossible. Maybe I can't really do it, or maybe, whatever's going on in their head, they're starting to doubt, the ability to advance rank, or the ability to grow to create income with it, right? And then after 2 years and 4 months, Tanya goes silver. And some of these people that were her key builders in the very beginning, kind of just quit and was like, you know what, whatever, this isn't working for me. Well, Tanya kept staying busy, and she kept getting to work with other people, and she found new builders, placed them underneath it, and those are the people that went elite, right? Well, now you look at these people between them, and they're like, well, wait a minute, Tanya just went silver? They're like, what is going on? We want a piece of this. And now, she's got these original leaders that now want to be silver and are re-engaged. And so, what you're describing is so true, and I've seen it over and over and over in my organization, and within myself. I remember when I went, diamond, and I felt like what you're talking about, that it was like, this is hurting my team. Like, I have to do this not for me anymore, but I have to do this for my team to show them that they can do it, right? Like, they need to have a diamond that's closer to them in structure. They need to see another person break rank and have that hope and belief grow within them. And it did. I went diamond. I pushed forward that month, and it happened. But the thing about it is that it was mainly based on my activity, right? So when you're talking about this 20 hours, that you put in, and then your builder puts in and the next one puts in, when I look at those times that I felt momentum, I was putting in more hours than I ever did before in my organization. I was recruiting more than I did. I look at the month I went platinum even. When I went platinum, I earned the rose and jasmine oil and moved and had 14 enrollments in the month of January. Like, who does that?
Yeah. And can I just mention that too? I know Jacqueline Child just raised her hand, so I want to hear from her, but let me just say that every time I've seen momentum happen, it brings a level of chaos to your life. And the problem is I feel like a lot of people, they're trying to experience growth and momentum in an orderly way that's not going to upset their life and their patterns and their behaviors too much. And it's like, I haven't seen that though. Every time they're experiencing massive momentum, they're running around like a chicken with their head cut off, trying to figure out how to make it all work, and they're frazzled, right? And it's like, and you're like, yeah, and I feel like I'm the same way. It's like, I want to grow, but I want it to be exactly how I want it to be. And it's like, I'm sorry, but we can't control how momentum happens. But when it happens, you've got to run with it, like ride that wave while the wave is going. And or you're just gonna be very upset.
Right.
You're never gonna experience that growth.
Right. Well, it's like you said, like, those are actually the most fun times in my organization. In my journey,
Absolutely.
when I look at it, I'm like, I love those times. Like, you were just here for a week and we like went crazy, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I missed it. I love this.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid of that, because that craziness doesn't last forever, but it is like so fun when you get it right back. All right, Jack.
And the thing is that the same things were happening too. I'm so sorry. The same things were happening too, though, right? I mean, your kids were still calling you and texting you saying how bad they didn't want you gone. And it's like, I'm like, wow, that happened 5 years ago too. It's like,
right. Well, hey, the difference was it happened on the third night, not the first night.
Yeah, right. Anyway, sorry, Jacqueline, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say one of the main motivations for me to hit diamond was when Sarah and Travis, who were under me, hit diamond. And I can remember thinking at that time, like, okay, I'm done with the excuses. It's time to take this seriously. I got to follow their example. I cannot be the leader that they're dragging along. And I remember just wondering, like, everyone would say, you've got to do Diamond Club, And at the time that I made this decision, like, I've got to go diamond, like, my husband was not supportive at all. And you cannot do Diamond Club unless your husband's supportive, right? Like, that's like a really good way to have the worst marriage that ever happened. So, and maybe you can, but you'll, maybe, I'm sure there's people who are saying, well, I did.
Jacqueline doesn't advise
it's
it.
like, well, I'm just saying, like, it's impossible. If you have 5 kids, I had 5 at the time, and our prego with your other one, and you want it, like, so I was like, how am I going to do this? Like, he completely thinks this is a joke, right? And so at that point, I think they hit Diamond first in October, or November. It might have been November. Yeah, it was November. So I remember being like, okay, something has to change, and it's got to start with his attitude, right? So I remember the first thing I did was just write an affirmation that was him being supportive, as if he was. And then I would do visualization, and I would be like, David and me together on stage going diamond. He has helped me with this. And that was so far from even the reality of the situation. But I tell you, it worked. And as I continued, of course I had to work along with that. That doesn't work. That's devastating if you do that and then don't work. And then I got to work, and several things happened. Like, I was able to create the momentum to go diamond, and then also he totally, God intervened, and we decided to go to Jamaica on a trip, and he went on the trip with me, and he met the founders, and he met all these, we just happened to be able to sit with Teresa Harding, and she was amazing, and David's like, oh my gosh. And then, and then we get home. The night we get home from the trip, he has this dream, and he's supposed to do doTERRA, and all these things happened, so that I could go diamond. Even to this day, I don't know if he could handle me doing Diamond Club, but I guess I'm just saying, having my team motivate me, seeing them saying, I'm done, and then just saying, I know this is an excuse. It's a pretty substantial excuse when your spouse thinks doTERRA is crazy and thinks this is all a waste of time, but it all worked out. And now he's very supportive. He still probably would not support me doing Diamond Club, honestly. In fact, let's not just say probably, for sure, he would never support that. But he totally is, his mindset and everything is so different. And if he feels like I'm spending my time well and not just spinning my wheels, he's incredibly supportive of that kind of time. So anyway, so just believe.
Yeah,
go for it.
So I've got a few questions for you. So, so yours came from that inspiration from your leaders advancing rank, right? And so I love that you brought that up, because it's not just when you hit rank that it inspires everyone below you, but when people hit rank, it inspires everyone around them, right? I mean, cross-line, up-line, down-line, everywhere. And so I love that you brought that up. I think that's important for us to remember. And then the other thing you said, then I got to work. So what are some of the things that you did different? When you say I got to work, what are some of the things that you did different to help create that momentum?
Well, I just set up more classes, and a lot of it was just, I was already doing classes. One thing I did was I was more thoughtful about where I did my classes. Previous to that time, I'm not saying I still do this, and I definitely think it's a must, but I would pretty much just teach classes wherever there was fire, wherever people were excited, and it didn't matter if it helped me rank advance. And I still do that for sure, but I did have to start being really making sure, okay, along with supporting those people, I've got to start focusing on the structure that's going to get me to diamond and filling in where I need it to be filled in. And so that was one thing, just being more thoughtful and careful about where I put my time to make sure it's going to help me advance rank. And then just I swear there's something about having a mindset change and shift and doing those affirmations and stuff that really just help you, when things don't go right, you're like, that's okay. I know where I'm going. That's just going to teach me something on my way there. And it just helps to just have the attitude I'm going to be diamond. And I think before this, I always believed I'd do well in doTERRA, but it's I thought in the future. And so all of a sudden it was no, right now I'm choosing to be diamond. Not in the future, not when things work out better, not when all my kids are raised, not in 10 years, like right now I'm choosing this. And so it was just a mindset change. So when things were difficult, and I think I became more prayerful and thoughtful because you have to receive inspiration like, how am I going to make this work? And you get ideas, you get thoughts. If you spend quiet time every day, then especially I do it very early in the morning, when everybody's still in bed, you will get thoughts, inspiration, ideas constantly, then and then throughout the day as well, letting you think, okay, this was a struggle and this is how you're going to fix it. And that happens constantly, like, how do I make this work? How in the world do I get the laundry done and do the, and then all of a sudden you'll think of a way to maybe do your laundry differently. I know it sounds crazy, but that's like the reality of it. It's those little daily things that really bog you down and make it hard to want to build. When you look at all the laundry piled up and you're like, oh my gosh, and there's going to be another 3 batches after today because everyone's going to take their clothes off and need to put new clean clothes on. So it's like, so you receive little inspiration though over the dumbest things like laundry. But if you're set, I mean, that saying from Think and Grow Rich, when a person commits, then providence moves. Like if you are committed, things happen and they fall into place and you receive guidance, direction, and inspiration in how to make it work with your crazy life. And it is crazy. I wish it wasn't. I wish, like, you woke up in the morning and I had my scripture study and everything. No, like, half the time I have to nurse the baby who's just woken up, and my son comes in and says, where's my socks for football? I mean, you just do what you can do, and then you just say, it's okay. It's better done than perfect. And that's, like, my motto. It's better done than perfect, and it's never going to be perfect. You know what? That's the way life is, and that's great.
Thank you, Jacqueline. I love it. A couple things that, you brought up too is that, talked about some of the miracles that happened, really. I mean, with your husband shifting his mind and coming to being more supportive with doTERRA and coming to events with you. And so I think that's another thing, that you've taught us here too, is that when you do commit and move forward, there are miracles that happen, right? I mean, yes, we're going to get to work and do our part, but I can't think of a time when I created momentum and was just working my guts out that I didn't have miracle after miracle after miracle happen in that time frame too. But the times when I've been more idle in my organization, I didn't receive those miracles, And so I love that you brought that up too, because that happens, and I'm sure that many people on this call have experiences like that where they were maybe, a huge chunk of, volume away from a goal, coming to the last week of, the month, and they're still shooting for this rank, and these miracles happen, and so I just see that all the time. We want those miracles. We need to get to work to receive them, So I love that. Thank you, Jacqueline. Wow. All right. So for those of you joining, we're talking about creating momentum, and when are some times that you felt momentum in your organization? So you can hit star 5 star to raise your hand. For those of you that are unmuted, go ahead and speak up. One thing that I thought of too as I'm sitting here listening to Seth and Jacqueline, one of the things that I've noticed when I'm feeling that momentum, one of the things that I've noticed that changed was for me, I also reach out to my leader more than I normally do, right? And so it's like I'll notice that I'm sending little text messages because these little things are happening and exciting, like, hey, this person just enrolled, or I just got 2 new enrollments, I committed a new builder. Like, I've realized that I'm engaged with that communication with my mentor at a higher level than I am at other times too. So I know that that's one thing that really helps me with that being committed and getting to work, is seeking that guidance of the things that I need to be doing every day and keeping on track with that, just having that higher accountability level there.
Hey, Courtney.
Yeah.
This is Jerry.
Go ahead, Jerry.
Yeah, I just had a thought on what you were talking about. I've been watching my team recently, and I was really pondering this topic back in, last summer. And my team had kind of become a little bit stagnant. I had a lot of leaders that had been working towards rank for a long time, and they were just starting to get frustrated. And we went to convention, and of course that always helps boost morale. Mm-hmm. But one thing that I noticed that really affected kind of a shift within our team is we had three different people on the team hit silver in December, and I feel like, and maybe if you spoke to them, they'd say otherwise, but part of what happened is I really focused on creating a community for my team over the course of, from convention through December, and we participated in weekly group calls and had challenges within the group, like just little incentives and things to work towards, and did some focus training and got my upline involved in making sure that they felt loved and maybe a little extra support from someone other than me, because they hear it from me all the time, and they just needed to hear it from someone else. And I think that sense of community really built momentum in my team, because they would see what someone else was doing, and it would give them ideas to do something for themselves, and or they'd hear about a goal that someone had set, and they were determined to meet that goal too. A little bit, not necessarily competitive with each other, but it motivated them, it encouraged them, it inspired them, and so that sense of community with my team, I think, helped create a momentum in several different legs where they inspired each other. And what was really cool is I found that through that process, sometimes someone would have a question and they knew that I could answer it, but they also knew that someone else on the team had a strength in that particular area, and so they would reach out directly to them, even though they're not a part of the same team, they're in different leagues. And just having that camaraderie and being able to support each other. When it came to December and two of them set a goal to hit silver, a third person was like, oh my gosh, if they're going to do it, I have to do it too. And so they rallied together and they were cheering each other on and they were calling each other to say, how close are you? I'm this close. How close are you? What do we need to do? And they were in it together, and it was so fun to watch the three of them create momentum for each other just in enthusiasm, And I think that made a really big difference for my team over the last 6 months.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up, Jerry, because, there really is something in running with someone than running by yourself, right? So when you've got two or three people for the same rank together and they're in, the same rank, so that means they're going to be doing the same type of activities, the same, requirements, right? They all need to hit silver. They need 3 legs. Each of those needs a 3,000. You know what I mean? There's so much that you feel like you're doing with them. Sometimes I feel like I'm at a disadvantage when I work with some of my newer legs because I can't, I'm diamond. I've already sprinted for that, and they're still trying to get up to that. And sometimes they feel like they can't run with me because I'm at a different level than them, But I love that you brought that up. In fact, when I was running for Platinum, it was Brian and Brianna Hess. We were doing that same thing, and we're texting each other and giving each other updates and, both committed to do this. And, of course, they totally lied and suckered me. But anyways, I went Platinum and they went Diamond. Long story. I'm still owe Brian a steak, but I'm not giving it to him. Anyways. But I love you brought that up because it's so, so important. And the other thing you brought up was events, going to convention. So what is it that happened at convention that started this momentum for you guys? Just give us one little thing, what happened there? Why is that event so important?
So convention by itself is mandatory. It's just mandatory. And it's kind of like telling someone who's never eaten ice cream what ice cream tastes like. You can't do it. You just have to go. You have to experience it for yourself. There's no way to really explain it. But there were 2 things that I felt like were monumental in our convention experience, aside from the actual event of convention. And part of that is just the energy that you feel there. You can't leave without feeling that positive energy. But one of the things was I rented houses for my team this year so that they were all under the same roof, and we came back with this buzz from convention, and we're talking to each other about ideas we're doing in our business, and it kind of kicked off what I was trying to create within the community of my team. And they built relationships with each other, and they got to know each other, and that kind of it led into what we were going to be experiencing over the next 6 months. And then the other thing was David Ellis. he took some time, him and Julianne, met up with us in the parking lot for the concert. We didn't actually hear a single song at the concert because we were so intent on David Ellis and his wife because they're just incredible. Julianne, it doesn't get better than that. And they met with us in the parking lot, and my team gathered there, and we huddled into this, like, little football huddle so we could hear each other. And he just connected with them on a personal level. And getting your upline involved, I think your team really needs that because, like I said before, they hear it from you all the time. But getting another witness, someone else who's been successful to really bear testimony of their experiences and a belief in them that they're capable, that was really, really significant for a lot of the people on my team, and they needed that. And I know several of them came back saying that was the highlight of convention, that they benefited from the whole experience, but just connecting with their upline and knowing that they cared about them and getting some wisdom from them, that was really, really special for them. So
awesome. Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate it. Okay, so we've got some hands here. We're going to go to Virginia and then Bryant. So before we go to you, Virginia, I just want to recap a little bit here. So some of the things that have created momentum that we've learned so far is personal enrolling, like that higher commitment to enroll more, to teach more, doing it intentionally, connecting with your mentors, with your team at different levels, increase in events and just even attending events. These are some of the things that we've talked about, and then obviously your belief level. I love this. Okay, Virginia, let's go to you, and then Brian.
Well, I'll say one thing and let Brian do it. I find my personal connection and building my leaders and just that one-on-one has made a huge difference for them. And they crave it, and when there's fire, I meet fire with fire. So Brian will take it over.
All right. Oh, what's up, Brian?
Hey, thanks, Courtney. First of all, your story of hitting platinum is one of my all-time favorites. So you can tell that anytime. It brings back these just great memories of that night. And you're right.
Dude.
You do owe me a steak. But a couple of my observations about momentum is that momentum, it's one of those things where oftentimes it's months and sometimes it's years in the making of somebody just consistently doing the mundane over and over and over again. And then all of a sudden things explode, and then the person that's been doing the same thing over and over and over again for all this time, they're looked at as though all of a sudden they caught lightning in a bottle, or they did some amazing thing that all of a sudden triggered all this momentum, and they're just sitting there thinking, you know what, I've been doing this thing here for consistently for this long a period of time, and now you're seeing the results of all this work I've done in the past. Mm-hmm. And so momentum isn't a short burst of activity. It's oftentimes a combined massive amount of work done over months and years that looks on the outside like a short burst of activity, but in reality it's built months and months and months upon each other of just doing the simple, basic, fundamental activities of building your business. Right now we've got a team that we've been nurturing for 5 years out in Pennsylvania that's about to just explode. And it's going to look like all of a sudden, there's some magic trigger switched, but in reality it's been, 5 years of consistent nurturing that's going to allow the seed to finally bloom into this amazing, amazing team. And I think that in most cases that those principles are going to be found in whatever you're doing. And so it's like, I want to build momentum on my team today. Well, great. Then what are the fundamentals that you need to be doing today so that in 6 months from now, you can be the example of amazing team growth and momentum. But you have to do it every day. Mm-hmm. And you have to spend time on those fundamentals, for hours and hours and hours and hours until you can finally achieve that momentum. But it's one of those muscles that you have to be exercised regularly.
Well, I love that you bring this up because it challenges me because I'm sitting here going, I don't know. Because I look at just times that I've experienced it. I mean, just for example, last week, so I've been in Minnesota for 2.5 years. Last week I had, my leader come out, Seth, and I was like determined to go like, I call it Jerome style, like back in the day how I used to build my business, right? And so I just had like these events booked, one event after another, and for 3 days we're just running, you know what I mean? And we hit a lot of momentum, and I felt that, and I felt that energy back, and I felt that passion back, and not just within me, but in my leaders, and, we committed builders, but it was the change first within me that says, I want to make this change, and I want to do it now, but I got to work at a different pace and level than what I've been doing, right? So I can kind of see what you're saying as far as like this is something that's built up over time and time and time. But I don't know. I still challenge this going, but I know within me there was a change. I increased activity. I increased belief. I increased just certain things. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't know. Yeah.
Courtney. However, that was a sprint, and it has the possibility to create momentum. But doing that again and again and again is I agree with Brian. I think that Brian is right in that.
Me. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean because so many people have these sprints, and they work hard for a week, and they go, but nothing happened. It's like, but Brian's dead on. It's yes, and when you do it again, and then again, and then again, and you keep going, it's like if you want to get crazy momentum, then work hard consistently. If you want, you know what I mean? I mean, it's very difficult for things to kind of but Bryant is also right in this regard too. Like, I'm signing up people who I've talked to for years, and because I didn't wait around for them, I went on to the person who was willing to go, and along the way you run into all these people who weren't ready, but because you kept going, you're working with those who are, and then the momentum happens, which is all of the work from the past. People start coming back into your life and saying, "Hey, is this a possibility now?" And it's like that's the fruit that people get after sticking around long enough, that the work from the past starts paying you too. I think you're both right. In other words, there has to be a certain level of activity, like doing a little bit.
It doesn't create enough momentum. It doesn't create enough.
Right. I used to share this all the time, and I can't remember the last time I shared it, but it's like starting a fire by rubbing two sticks together. And you have to have enough momentum, enough friction, enough effort that eventually the momentum of all of those molecules rubbing against each other at a particular speed, eventually a spontaneous combustion happens. And then you're sitting there building that small little fire. You have a little flame, and you're carefully putting on more and more fuel, and eventually you have a roaring fire. That's momentum. And then you can sit back and enjoy the warmth of a fire that took momentum. But it's like when people are rubbing the two sticks together, and then they go, okay, well actually I rubbed my two sticks together last week, but this week I had to take a break. That just doesn't work. I heard a fantastic. I heard this really cool analogy of this. There's the rubbing two sticks together analogy, but I also heard another one where a guy said it's kind of like if you were to take a bag of microwave popcorn and you were to put it in the microwave for 20 seconds and let it stop, and then type in 20 seconds and start it and let it stop, and you were to do that, you could do that the whole day and not pop a single kernel. But if you just leave the microwave on for 2 or 3 minutes, the whole bag will be popped, and that's momentum, and it's the killer of momentum is inconsistent activity. It's sprinting and stopping and sprinting and stopping, and we experienced momentum last week. But if you want to experience Jerome momentum, keep doing that for the next 2 months.
Right. Oh, fantastic points. This is juicy. Like, these are the little golden nuggets that make these calls so worth it. Is this right here. I love it. Thank
Courtney,
you.
I would argue that you were able to have this sprint this last weekend with Seth being out there, because you've been networking the last 2.5 years. You've been making friendship, relationships, and then you're able to kind of hit that little switch and all of a sudden invite them to do some kind of activity, which allows you to to really get that momentum. And so you have been doing these fundamental things throughout the process. And now, because of that, you had a foundation to kind of spring off of, if you will.
To be able to sprint, right. No, it's true. So true. Love it. All right, Desiree, we're coming to you next.
Oh, sorry, I had to mute myself. Okay. I wanted to bring up 2 points. Love everything that we're discussing. One is inspiration of the self. So you yourself must always be inspired in this business. Inspired by the oils, inspired by creating a movement, inspired to create a tribe, inspired to change the face of healthcare in this country, and inspired to teach people a way towards financial freedom. I'm very passionate about every single one of those categories, and when I communicate with whether it's one person, 2, or 600, people feel my enthusiasm. And that enthusiasm is infectious, and it's definitely required to create momentum. And I do have a Go Diamond blend, but I don't know if this place is appropriate to share or not, but I will share if you guys want me to. The other thing, besides being inspired yourself, so if you are not inspired, do what you need to do to get yourself in that space. Because you can share, and I've been teaching this a lot, so my team has heard me. You could be this incredible sharer, right? And you are telling everybody about oils and giving them samples and teaching classes, but your enrollments are very low, and your ability to attract other inspiring leaders are very low. So, when I first started, I say out of 10 people that I shared essential oils with, I was able to enroll between 2 to 3 people. Okay. Now, when I share essential oils with 10 people, my average enrollment is around 7 right now.
Wow.
Yeah. So when I share oils, people they are begging me, I need these things. Tell me, how do I get it? These are so amazing. And it's because of my presence. And that's something I stress heavily in my team is you need to check yourself, because if you've got any of these limiting beliefs that are in the background and you have very low self-esteem and you don't believe in yourself, you don't believe that you're capable of creating this beautiful thing called a doTERRA business, then that person who is receiving the samples of essential oils are going to feel that. And so they're not so drawn to you. Okay? So, that's one important point, and I will provide the Go Diamond blend so that you all can use this to help all these things I'm talking about, all right? Believing in yourself, believing in your purpose, your mission, and being able to project that out into the world. The other part is helping your leaders rise. When I teach events, I pull in my current silvers, and maybe even they're not silvers, maybe even premiers, and golds, and have them speak and showcase them, because that creates massive momentum. Because, you can hear same diamond, blue diamond speak all the day long, but you want to instill that belief in your new rising leaders that they can speak in front of a crowd of 30 people, and they're listening. They're just gripped by what they're seeing. I love silvers so much. They are the lifeblood of our compensation plan, because to me, a silver is somebody, because I remember when I hit silver, and Seth, you told me you loved my silver interview back in 2013. The silver rank is where the passion is extreme. It is at an all-time high. You are seeing miracles happening with these essential oils. You are seeing your tribe growing. It is thrilling. Silver is my most favorite rank. Plus, it's the base rank for the higher, presidential diamond and so forth. diamond, presidential diamond. So love silvers. Please get your silvers involved in the events to speak up. Like when when we hear people on this mastermind call that are not a diamond, I listen to them intently because they are in it. They are in the trenches. So I respect silvers so much. I mean, God bless you all because you are the warriors of this world. And bring them in, let them speak because they have a fire inside of them that someone who's been diamond for a while might be a little bit complacent. And they're not going to be able to excite people the way a silver can. So bring your leaders up on stage when you have events, your rising leaders, and let them build that confidence. And then after they're done, they're like, oh my goodness, I did it. And then people would come to them after the event is done and be like, you were so amazing. Like I remember when my leader, Debbie Oles, she spoke at my book launch in San Diego, and she's an acupuncturist, and she taught about the liver. And she was brilliant. She was hilarious. She was gripping, and everything she said made sense. And it was just, people were in awe of her. And if I had just taken that whole time for me to talk, that moment would not have been there. And she wouldn't have built that confidence in herself that she is a brilliant speaker. So bring in these rising leaders. That would be one of my other tips. Oh, lastly, you guys want the Go Diamond blend, right? Okay, I'm sorry if I'm talking too much. Okay, here we go. Go Diamond. So get your pens and papers. If you want me to make a video of this, I can, and put it on the Daisy Edge Business Mentoring page. So it starts with 8 drops of lime, okay, and then 5 drops patchouli. Oh, by the way, this is a 10 ml roller bottle. So 8 lime, 5 patchouli, 5 Roman chamomile, 8 bergamot, 3 wild orange, 3 white fir, 4 lang lang, 3 sandalwood, almost done guys, either Indian or Hawaiian, 3 cedar wood, and lastly 2 frankincense. And I'll briefly explain this, okay? Lime, oil for the zest for life. We need to experience that enthusiasm, and lime's going to bring it out. It's going to bring out a lot of passion and emotions. And then you've got patchouli to ground in all this excitement. When I'm trying to learn a new pattern, like being inspired all the time, I like to use patchouli to ground any new pattern. Roman chamomile is the oil of divine purpose so that you are always in alignment with your purpose and your mission. Bergamot and wild orange significantly increases your confidence and self-acceptance. And then the white fir breaks generational patterns. If I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough. Lang lang brings that childlike wonder and awe. That's what you need to experience. When I started doTERRA, I was like, these oils are so cool. Oh my goodness, you gotta try this, you gotta try this. It was like that. I was so in awe of the oils. I was so in awe of the business even. So that lang lang is going to bring that up. And then you've got sandalwood, which helps get you rooted and grounded, so you're not like a chicken with a head cut off. And cedarwood is the oil of community, so you feel very supported, not just, of course, like upline, crossline, downline. You're supported. You're part of this large family. And frankincense just to harmonize the entire blend. I'm done. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thanks, Desiree. Love it. Thank you.
Cool.
Okay, we've got another caller, 904 ending in 0148. What was your name and what's your comment? You're unmuted on our end, 904-0148.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can now.
Hi, I'm sorry. This is Annika. I have just been kind of on a cloud right now. I've really taken to heart. There was this quote, I believe it's from Brian Tracy. It says, move out of your comfort zone. You can only grow if you are willing to feel awkward and uncomfortable when you try something new. And before I was just kind of stuck in this motion. Nothing was really working out for me. And so I just kind of dropped everything. I started reaching out for new people, and I really just had this confidence that I know these oils work. I love them, and my goal is to share them. And I just to tell that everyone could notice this aura that I was kind of spewing. And so people were getting excited about these oils, and they're coming to my classes and signing up, and it has just been amazing right now. And so I just keep telling myself I just need to keep reaching out, try something new. I'm also putting myself on Facebook, and people are really looking into that and reaching out to me now instead of me trying to find people. So it's just been so amazing, and I love it. And I've been getting support from my upline, so that's been awesome. But really the momentum is just my confidence in what I love to do, and I know I'm going to reach gold. And I'm going to get there, and I'm super excited.
Thank you for sharing. Appreciate that. All right, we are just about out of time here. I just want to recap so far what we've learned, and if there's any dying comments, we'll save time for one more at the end. So creating momentum, what we've learned so far today is that this is something that you start planting and doing the right activities in a consistent enough a manner, and over time, you're going to be able to have these sprints and create this momentum, right? And so making sure you're always enrolling and teaching classes, building your business intentionally, being connected with your team, with your mentors, with events. I love what Desiree said, edifying your leaders, giving them opportunities to shine and grow. I know for me that was a huge thing too when I think about it. I remember the first time speaking up or being called on these mastermind calls. That was huge for me in feeling that belief in myself. And what we've learned through this call also is that belief in ourselves helps create momentum because people see that and we act according to our belief, right? So if we are believing we can achieve something, we're going to act that way, right? And so I love that comment also. Okay, I think I know there's probably more. I can't remember everything. It's been a really great phone call. Is there anyone else that has one last comment they want to say before we end the call? All right. Well, we will go ahead and end the call, and I appreciate everybody for participating, and I hope this has been beneficial to all of you. My challenge to you would be set a pace and don't stop with that. You know, just like we were talking about with the popcorn in the fire, set a pace, keep going, and don't give up. And eventually you will be able to create that momentum and reach your goals. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we will see you again next time. Have a happy and wonderful week.